Digital portrait collage. We are going to create new, and we're going to choose a blank background. So I'm just going to click create so that I get the full canvas here. And when I do that, I'm going to click add image and browse. And I'm going to go and find the photos that I downloaded for my person. In this case, I am choosing Taylor Swift here. And I want to open the image of her. And then I want to stretch out her photo so that it is filling up most of this canvas so that I have something nice and big to work with. When we initially downloaded this photo, we did a Google search of only large objects or only large photos so that it would be easy to work with. That is the first step. So getting a photo into Pixlr is the first step. The second step is to go and eliminate the background. So to do that, I'm going to click Cutout. And I can either do, there are 4 different options here. I can use Magic Cutout and select Remove. And anything that I click on in the background that is a similar value will be erased. But sometimes you run into this issue where if you click on it and there's anything a similar brown, it will also seek out any pixels that you may want to use. So I'm going to undo that part, and you can always step back when you do that in Pixlr. And I'm going to do a draw cutout instead. And I'm going to, when I use the draw cutout, I'm going to decrease the softness so that I get a nice straight line here. So as I hold down my left click and drag this, anything that is red is going to be eliminated. So I'm going to get up real close to her skin right here so that I can eliminate that brown area. And then I can go back here to the Magic Cutout and click on these, and it won't get rid of all those pixels that I need over here in the fingers and that sort of thing. So I'm just going to go around here and click on some of these areas that are the same kind of value. And if you do that, or you make a little mistake there, you can always do that undo so that we're just going backward. And then I can go back to my brush and get up close and take away some of these spare pixels. Another way that you can get rid of the background is by using a shape cutout, where I'm choosing the shape and I am just dragging my mouse into a shape, and then anything inside that shape is going to be eliminated. And that's very helpful if you're trying to get rid of large areas here. If I go back to my draw cutout and I want to get some of these big areas in here, I want to first adjust the size of my brush so that I'm not eliminating things that I don't want to get rid of. And I want to come up to the top right and I want to zoom in. And when you make things larger, it's easier to work with, but also you need to get over to the spots where you're eliminating those things. And in some places here where the hair is, I want to turn my softness up about like 50% or so that I get a nice just soft line there. If you turn it up higher, it is going to affect that a little bit less. I'm just trying to get a good size here so that it's fitting inside that little space without really affecting too much of the hair. So you see how the softness is going to take away some of those pixels, but not completely. It'll just kind of soften the edge here a little bit, just so that I'm going along the hair and make it look less ragged. So I'm going to go around and do that just to clean up some of these things. You can also zoom out, and if you need to move to another spot, and you could either do one of two things. You either put your move tool over here on this rectangle and slide it over to the section that you want to work on, or if you hold down the space bar button, a little hand will show up and as long as you hold it, you can drag and move the canvas wherever you'd like it to go. I also have a click wheel or a wheel on my mouse, so if I move it forward, it will zoom in, and move it backward, it zooms out. And that is very helpful if you are trying to work on areas here in a digital piece of art, instead of having to go back and forth, across the screen here. So I'm just going to go around and clean some of this stuff up until I'm happy with that, how that looks. Don't necessarily want all these things to be kind of flying away out here. So I want to go around and get rid of any of these marks or things here that I don't really like. Be adding a plain background behind Taylor. So I want to make sure that I am on the layer that I want to add the color to. So I'm going to click on the plain background, and I'm going to come over here to my draw tool. This is a little icon here that looks like a paintbrush, and when I click on that, you'll see some options for brush tool, eraser tool, pen tool, and shape tool. I'm choosing shape tool and selecting rectangle, which is the default, and I am going to then choose a color. Now I can choose one of these preset colors, which are here, but I can also click on color, and that is going to show all the highlights and shades, all the different tints and values of red, going from the pure color red in the corner down to black and across to white, and all the grays in between, so that you can see the combination of red with white and black. So I can go ahead and choose a color that I want to put there, and if I want to try and match something in photo, maybe your lipstick or something like that, I'm going to grab a color, and once I'm happy with the color, I'm going to go up to the top left of the canvas, making sure that the layer that I'm putting it on is selected in blue, and I'm going to left click and drag from one corner to the opposite corner, and then when I let go, that is going to put that color behind it. Now you may notice now that because the background is in there, we can see some pixels that were left behind here that we can get rid of. So I'm going to go to my cutout tool and go to my draw cutout, make sure it says remove, and make sure I'm on the layer where all the pixels are, which is on the actual portrait part, and go around and make some adjustments or edit some of this stuff to get rid of all those pixels that I don't want here in the background. I can also zoom in here, and using that magic brush here, or the magic tool, there are like minute details in here that you may have missed. I can get up real close to the body here by clicking this a little bit closer, or if I use the magic cutout and just kind of click on some of these pixel areas, I am going to remove some of these things so that these pixels are not just hanging out here down on the bottom. On editing the photograph itself, you have some options here to edit the actual photo by clicking on the layer that the portrait is on and going over to the far left to where it says adjust and filter. If I click on that, I can click on up here, I can go black and white. It's going to turn it completely black and white. I can cancel that out to go back to the original photo, go back to the adjust and filter. If I click auto, that is going to enhance the photo. I'm going to click cancel, adjust and filter. I could try pop, or I could adjust some of these things myself by changing the color from the original photo to a adjust and filter by changing the color. If I slide the temperature control to the right, it's going to make it more yellow. If I slide the temperature control to the left, it's going to make it more blue. I can also change the tint so that I'm making it a little bit more reddish to the left, greenish to the right. So if I know that I want to make her a little bit more orange, I'm going to slide it to the left here to make it a little more pink, and slide it to the right to add that yellow. The sliders in the middle will show you that there is no change in the original photo. Going down here to where it says hue, if I slide this to the right, that is going to change the overall effect of the actual person. So if I wanted her to be blue, or to create contrast with the red and make it green, that would be an option, or slide in this a little bit more towards the red or the purple. That is going to completely change the way that she looks. In the next step, I'm going to duplicate the portrait layer. So I'm going to right click on the portrait and choose duplicate layer. That's one option. Or if I click on these three little dots on the actual layer, that's the layer settings, and I click on that, that pop-up is also going to come up. So I'm going to click duplicate, or I can select the layer and right click on it directly and duplicate the layer. So now I should have three portraits of Taylor over here under my layers. I'm going to hide the bottom two. So this little check mark right here, when I click on it, it's going to hide the layer. And right now I only have one layer that's on top of the red. What I'm going to do is I am going to select Taylor's face by going to my cutout tool again. And this time I'm going to choose my lasso cutout. And I'm going to select remove. And then carefully with my mouse, I'm just going to trace around the outside of her face, chin. Kind of go around some of these details with the hair. And with a lasso cutout, you want to get all the way back to where you started, so that when you let go, it will be cutting out whatever that thing is. Okay, so you'll see that we actually did cut that out of this top layer. So if I turn this layer off and I turn this layer on, you'll see that there will be now a big hole here. Now you'll see that along the edges that is pretty jagged. So I am going to go to my draw cutout and I'm going to turn this up to 90% and just take my brush and go along the edge all the way around soften up the look inside the portrait. All the way around and let go. Okay. So what I want to do with that layer now is I want to click on the layer settings and I want to turn the transparency down. So when I slide this over to the left about halfway, you'll see that it has now become kind of see-through. I'm going to then turn on my my bottom layer, and I'm going to turn the transparency down on that one also, so that I can just barely see it in that little space. Okay, so right now, if you look over to the far right, you have the cutout one is on the very top, and I have the one where it is fully intact directly below that. So what I'm doing in this step is I'm going to remove things again, and I'm going to turn my softness down to 0. And I'm going to find a brush that is going to take out all these details. So I am going to be erasing on this layer right here, which is in the middle. That's the one that has the face. And I'm going to erase everything but the face. So I'm leaving these open so that I can see where my cutout was, and going around with my remove tool, making sure I'm on the layer that I want to get rid of. And I'm going to go around and go over all those spots that I left behind the first time. So the hair and everything around the face is what I'm trying to eliminate this time. And you won't initially on your screen see it disappearing right in front of you there, but if you look over at your layer, you'll notice that your layer is erasing all those pixels as you keep clicking on it. So I'm dragging this to take this out. I'm getting rid of the body and anything but the face. So you'll see that when I turn that down, you'll see that it turns it down like a portion of the way. And so you should see like kind of like a ghost image here. All right, when I get done with that, what I want to do is I want to go back to my layers, and I want to turn the transparency back up again. So that I bring the photo back. Once that's done, I'm going to go over here to my Arrange and Style button, and that is going to allow you to move things around. I want to select the layer that the face is on itself, and I don't want anything else to move. So for each one of these layers, I'm going to click on this, and there is a option to lock it. So I'm going to lock that into position, and I'm going to lock the red in the background into position. And that will prevent me and I'm going to lock this layer that's hidden right now. So that will only allow me to move the face. So I'm going to grab this with my move tool, and I can move this off to the side. Now, right now, you can see that this layer is behind this other layer. So I actually want it to be in front. So to put that in front, I am going to move the layer up on the far right side. But you see, as I move that, some things came along with it, some hair down here. So before I go on to that, I'm going to go back to my cutout tool, and I'm going to eliminate, whoops, I'm going to make sure it says remove. And what does I want to do? Increase my brush a little bit and get rid of these things. Turn my softness down a little bit. Just go and clean this up a little. That's going to give you that nice soft quality along the edge. And you can always go and edit this a lot later. Just wanted to show you how to do this here. So I'm going to go back to my Arrange and Style tool, and I'm going to make sure I'm on the layer that I want to move. I want this to go in front. So I'm going to grab this layer, and I'm going to push it up so that it's above the rest of the face. This kind of setup here, I'm going to add another picture. So I'm going to go here to add image. I'm going to browse again, and in my photos that I have saved in here, I am going to find some images that I want to add to this portrait. So something like a guitar or something like that would be pretty cool. I'm just going to double click on that and add the guitar. Now, if you want to prevent these things from moving around, again, you're going to click on this layer here and you're going to lock it. All these can be locked, and that will prevent me from moving anything that you don't want. So I want to put this photo behind or in this space here, and I want to position this so that we are seeing the best part of this guitar here. So in this layer, I can actually kind of place this where I want it to go, so that it's something like this. And I can stretch things out, make it a little bit wider so that it's filling in there. And if there is anything that is sticking out past the head that you don't want in there, then you are going to zoom out so that you can see it. And this is what it's going to completely look like. If I added a photo in here and it went out past where I wanted it to go, let's say I wanted the guitar, instead of it being the position I wanted it here, maybe I want it to be going this direction. So once I get that into place, I don't want all this stuff out here, so I am going to cut out, and I am going to use a tool cutout because I'm going to take a large chunk out. Click remove. I'm going to drag this square over that area and let go, and that is going to eliminate everything on that layer. So here again, I just made a mistake. So you can see I want to make sure that I'm on the layer I'm trying to get rid of. Going back here to remove, sliding this over that spot and erasing anything that is outside of that area so that the guitar is just there in that open space. You can even go over onto the other side with the shape, and you can draw the shape again and eliminate anything that potentially is over here as well. It's not necessary because it's kind of hidden behind all this other stuff. So that's that. Or you can go into your adjusting filter and you can change the hue of this. So that is adding to the overall look of what you're trying to do here. Now, I tend to use using complementary colors. So if you have a lot of red, maybe green is probably a good idea. So I'm going to slide this over to green just so that can complement what's already there. And then when I am completely done, I want to make sure that I go to save. Before I do that, I'm going to actually go and crop this. So if you have a lot of extra background that you don't need, I would just crop it so that it's eliminated. And then you are going to click apply. And once that has been added, and I lock this in position, I'm going to click save. And I am going to, in Pixlr, you got to make sure that you are saving it as PXZ first. So that is this format. PXZ is kind of like a Photoshop document, only it's made for just Pixlr. So you want to make sure that you click download. That is going to save your progress in the program so that if you were to use it again at another point, it will show up in your history. The second thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to go back and save it as a JPEG. So I'm going to click save. I'm going to use the same file name. That should pop up again. This time I'm going to save it as a JPEG. I'm going to download that. This has been another presentation of
Mr. B's Art Room.